Bam! What is up, my friends? BoArtTakeOver back with my list for top favorite 11 figures of 2021. Now I know what you're thinking, 11 figures, that's an odd number. You'd be correct. I started off with 10, but there was one figure I forgot about, and I didn't want to bump anything else off the list, so here we go. As far as Marvel Legends that came out in 2021, I actually didn't buy a lot of figures that actually came out last year, so I decided to do a general list. Now the fun factor is going to be how I pretty much did my whole list. So as we get down to the bottom, it's going to be the figures that I pretty much had the most fun with. There will be a lot of honorable mentions spread out throughout the video. So before we get started, like the video. Now let's get started. We're going to start off with some quick honorable mentions. So Neca did an awesome job last year. I don't own a lot of Neca, but the ones I do have, I effing love. They continue to set the bar with their cartoon series characters. So we have the Neca Goliath. He's got a good height to him. He's super detailed, sculpt, muscles, articulation's pretty decent. I do wish he could look up a little bit more and had a little more ab crunch range. His wings look great, and I think that a relaxed set would have kind of brought this figure over the top. And then we have the Neca Phantom. Now, Neca, they did a really good job with the sculpting and the shading of this figure. This figure is just an all-around fun toy to play with. I do think he could have used like a gritting teeth head. You know, that would have been kind of good to have a little extra for this figure. And the one thing that I have with both of these figures is the balancing issues. The Neca in particular, the Phantom, I think that his ankles are kind of loose, so like both of these figures look good and they have fairly good articulation, but they just didn't make the cut. Alright, kicking off the countdown, we're going to start off at number 11 with the Marvel Legends Maestro. Great sculpt work. I love the face. He balances good, moves good except for the head. I'm satisfied mostly with what he comes with, but he could have used like an extra head sculpt. That would have been nice. This is the only Marvel Legends Hulk that I have. The SH Figuarts Infinity Hulk is the other one that I have. And that's kind of all I need for now. I think if he had more, just a little bit more range, he'd be high on my list. At the number 10 spot, we have the Storm Collectibles MOTARO. Fun figure, great articulation, awesome sauce on the accessories. His head sit a little funky on the neck, but it's not so bad when you get him posed. There's no real reason why this figure isn't high on my list. I guess my other choices just kind of beat him out with the fun factor. Another honorable mention, we have the PLUNDERLINGS FAWN GROTTO. He's small, he's got some good range, he's cute in a Mogwai sort of way. I think his retail price is also fair for what you get, though I wish fist hands kind of came with the figure and you didn't have to grab like a pack or anything. But he is a lot of fun, the only PLUNDERLINGS I have, but I am expecting more any day now from Big Bad Toy Store. As far as the grabs, I mean, I do kind of wish his ab crunch was a little bit deeper, but other than that, man, this figure is good to go auto insurance. He just wasn't enough to make the list. Next, we have the Play Arts Kai Final Fantasy VII Remake TIFA. Her face actually came out pretty good in my opinion. I like her colors, the alternate hair, and her hands. She moves pretty good too. I like that. I typically don't buy a lot of larger scale figures, and I think I only have like 6 Play Arts Kais in my collection. But I really enjoy this figure, and I think she's right where she needs to be on my countdown. Coming in at number 8, we have the Storm Collectibles E Honda. I like the size. I think it even goes good with like certain 6-inch action figures, though not maybe like the SH Figure or Street Fighters, but the sculpt is good. It's definitely my definitive E Honda. His articulation is pretty good. A little funky at the torso, but you can get a lot of range out of this guy. But in certain areas, it could be a little better. The only thing I say disappoints me about this figure is he didn't come with the accessory that looks like he's doing this 100 hand slap. Like, that's a drop on the ball right there, Storm Collectibles. Another honorable mention, we have the damn Toys Red Yashaman figure. Really fun figure to pose around, but I probably wouldn't have got him if it wasn't for the shading applications on him or this awesome gold mask. But he does have cool hand options too. Having a small army of these guys is my goal, and the price is definitely a good incentive as it's on the lower end. Coming in at number 7, we have the Mezco Hood's Vapor figure. I'm not gonna lie, this figure is pricey, but I'm glad I spent the money on him. You got options for days with everything he comes with. I love the clothes that he comes with. You can kind of switch up his look, his comically nicely sculpted face, the hands. He even comes with a stand, and the stand is also a good stance, and that's kind of rare to say. Having more cartoonish figures in my collection is a joy to have, and if Mezco would make pre-ordering more convenient, I'd definitely try to get more. I wish he could look up more, had a little more torso range and the ankles, but other than that, this figure is solid. Got another honorable mention for you guys. We have the SH Figuarts Raditz. I had to give a shout out to SH Figuarts for their Raditz figure because he looks super cool. And I'm personally a casual fan of Dragon Ball. I haven't watched much of the series. I've never seen him in action, but I know of him. And I've always liked this character design, so I had to get one. He's got good range mostly, but it gets a little tricky balancing them. And I wish he came with an effect part in the stand, but this is a good figure. At number 6, we have the NOTA Studios Logan. I wanted me a suit Logan, and this is my definitive Logan right here. NOTA Studios, man, they did a superb job with this guy. His articulation is great. His suit is tailored great. It doesn't hinder the articulation much. He looks great. I see the likeness for the most part, and I think he comes with everything he needs, except for maybe a stand. That would have been nice. The only thing I wish was better with this figure, I wish he had a little more range in his ankles, and they were a little loose when I got it, so I wish those were a little tighter, but man, this dude is a lot of fun. Got a couple more honorable mentions. We have the Storm Collectibles, Jin Kazama, Terry Bogard, and Haohmaru from Samurai Showdown. Storm Collectibles, man, they are always coming with the heat. It's like they can't miss, man. They're dominating my countdown. I'm so glad I have a Terry Bogard. He's one of my favorite fighting game characters along with Haohmaru here. And I like the older D-Arts version of Terry Bogard, but he could have had more range. And the worst thing about him was it was a small figure. But Storm is kind of the opposite. Definitely not my preferred scale, but I love him nonetheless. He looks good, moves well, has cool accessories. Jin Kazama, on the other hand, he came out better than Kazuya, articulation-wise, in my opinion, and I think he looks great. There's nothing I'd really change about him. He's solid. As for Mr. Haohmaru here, man, I have been waiting on some Samurai Showdown figures, so this is an awesome time to be a collector for me. And I think he came out great. Good accessories. I like the fact his big hair isn't all loose, like swiveling all over the place, even though it tends to kind of slide out from posing. I do wish he had some movement in the front of his hair, though. When it comes to taking pictures, it gets kind of tricky, and I do wish he had more range in his knees. The one thing I'm noticing about Storm Collectibles, though, the accessories they've been doing for their figures have been like more muted, less saturated, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. Coming in at number 5, we have the Mcfarlane, The Witcher. I love this figure. It surprised the hell out of me when I got him in hand. Sculpt work, he looks great as Mcfarlanes typically do. The articulation is what I fell in love with this figure. Some people expressed they didn't like the way Mcfarlane did his articulation. The torso area is kind of rubbery, and I guess people didn't really like it like that. It kind of bends and bunches up when you articulate it. But I've been praying to give us a figure with better articulation, and the gods have heard me. His torso movement is solid if you're not stressing the way it looks. And I think his diaper kind of ended up getting tucked in behind his thighs, which gave me the thigh swivel I needed to give Todd the crown I've always wanted to give him. He did come with an extra hand with a flame effect if you were able to get your hands on this version, but unfortunately no fist hands, so that was a bummer. His head movement doesn't look up that well either, so that's probably the worst thing about this figure in my opinion. But otherwise, this figure is solid, and if you don't have one yet, this is the best Mcfarlane I have in my collection, in my opinion, and I think everybody should get one. Speaking of Mcfarlane, we have some honorable mentions for Mcfarlane. We have the Liu Kang and the Infected Superman. Alright, so I'm cheating a little bit with these choices because honestly, if it wasn't for the custom leg, torso, and neck mods I did, then neither one of these figures probably would have made the honorable mention. I mean, they look great, but as is, they weren't enough for me, so this is more like an unofficial honorable mention. I wasn't really able to get much out of Liu Kang's head movement because of the plastic for his hair, and he didn't come with any fist hands, so that was kind of a problem. And even with the mods, the Infected Superman could have used a little bit more range, but making the mods on these figures made him almost godlike. Coming at number 4, we have the Sentinel Miles Morales. Awesome offering for a Miles Morales figure. He's got a good look. He's great with the articulation, and the fact that you can change which version you can display him as is just lovely. The only things I had a problem with the figures, he didn't come with a non-windswept option for his coat. I wanted an additional unmasked head sculpt with maybe a less goofy expression on it. And his neck is widely acknowledged as being too short. But if you have the figure fixed plastic neck pegs to swap it out with, man, for the most part, this figure's solid. Coming in at number 3 on the countdown, we have the very cool female assassin Catch Me. I think it surprised me how much I've really grown to enjoy this figure. Do I think the figure's worth the price? No, I don't. But it's something about that all black outfit with the awesome tailoring that does not hinder the articulation and all that tactical stuff and straps with the head sculpt and the details in the hair that just, I don't know, man, it just does it for me. I know what it is. It's the fact she got a mask too. This chick is so much fun to have in my collection. She looks like a ninja soldier, and everybody loves ninjas. And you're not getting this level of articulation with any other line of females out there. The thing I didn't like about this figure is the price coupled with the fact that she doesn't come with a lot of hands, and I can't even swap her hands out because her sleeve is kind of tailored around her hands. So like the thread is really thin and I'm afraid to rip it. So that is a bummer. But the idea was cool. It looks cool, but it's not practical. But this is still one of my most favorite picked up figures. Y'all, one more honorable mention. We have the Figma Sekiro Shadows Die Twice figure. I haven't really heard much about this figure since its release, but this was a cool offering from Figma. There was two things that kind of threw me off with the figure, and that was the fact that his head kind of looked too small, and the digital printing, I guess, on his face was really fuzzy. I don't know if that's accurate, but I wasn't really feeling it. And there's like this lip on his pelvic area. I thought that looked super weird, but man, this was a fun figure. Hey y'all, before we get to my top 2 favorite action figures of 2021, please like the video. Alright, moving on. At the number 2 spot, we have the MAFEX GAMBIT. Oh man, so I'm going to start by saying GAMBIT is one of my favorites, if not my favorite Marvel character of all time. And MAFEX, man, they scratched most of the itch with this long-awaited figure. He looks great. His coat is wired. A little bit frumpy, but for his articulation, man, it's pretty solid with it on. His effects look good. Man, he's just wonderful. But some of his effects are a little heavy, so that kind of blows. You will need a stand. And I do wish he had a little bit more thigh rotation out of him. But man, this guy's amazing. He's so good. And I love it. And I can't wait to get this guy in some stop motion. All right, y'all, coming in at the number 1 spot. I know I'm going to piss some people off, frustrate some people, but we have the VTOYS Figure Body Zero. Who? My number 1 choice for my favorite action figure of the year goes to the VTOYS Figure Body Zero. This figure does not come with much, but the options for this guy are endless. All you need is some clothes, some sculpting clay, paint, and the possibilities are as far as your mind can carry you. Sculpt work, you got plenty. Articulation, you got plenty. But the best thing about this figure is the price. For under $40 with most sellers on eBay, you can get this template of perfection. You even get texture, like most of the necessary hands, some extra shins, and some boots. You can alter the height. The reason why this figure is number 1 for me is because I'm an articulation junkie, man. And you can almost do anything you want with this figure. If you're into kit bashing or sculpting, this figure is pure gold. Unfortunately, he didn't come with gripping hands, so that really put this figure on a pedestal on its own land. I haven't tried to do any customizing with the figure, so I'll keep you posted as far as if the paint gives, but I'm anxious to do some individual stuff with this guy. Alright y'all, so that's my list of my top favorite 11 figures of 2021. If you disagree with my list, thought some things should be switched around, or you want to post your own list, if you put it in the comment section below, I'll check it out. Please don't forget to like the video on your way out. Until then, peace.